The goal of this presentation is to provide valuable info in a short amount of time. So let's jump in. Thanks for joining us to learn about the 7 trends in time and expense management. The first trend we're going to talk about is mobile. Most organizations that have time and expense solutions have some type of mobile capability. But what we've seen with many mobile apps for time and expense solutions are that they only provide a fraction of the capabilities that are available on the desktop. So the first trend we're seeing is that organizations are no longer accepting a light version of mobile apps. The most basic functionality of mobile apps that you can use it anywhere. But what companies and their employees really need is a mobile app that has no gaps. You should be able to do everything from entry to approvals, and the app should provide users real-time updates. Plus, push notifications for users is key. Relying solely on desktop, PC, or web solutions to meet your time and expense needs is old school, especially as we look at supporting millennials and even Gen Z. As we look at the expansion of mobile app capabilities, this leads us to trend number 2, which is good receipt capture. Now, we're talking more generally in this presentation about time and expense. This second trend is expense specific. When organizations first looked at automation back in the late 90s and early 2000s, the big focus was how to better manage receipts. And we had processes out there for giving organizations the ability to attach receipts to expense reports and all the rest of that. But in 2000s, we started to really make critical headway in the area as companies began to develop solutions that could capture images of receipts with mobile devices and even read that data. And as we look at trend number 2, today is all about the improvements that have been made upon this technology with OCR, or optical character recognition. One of the things you're seeing now with OCR is the batching of data. And with many expense applications, it may take your users 10 to 15 minutes to receive the data from those receipts. That receipt data should be provided much faster, and you should be able to map this data against your corporate credit card or any other transaction data you're trying to get to. Now, following these other mobile trends, trend number 3 relates to GPS and what is now possible with your phone capabilities. Traditionally, GPS functionality for time and expense management has been limited to integration with Google Maps and other map apps. That provides the user a tool that can capture their mileage point to point, and that's great. It's been quite helpful, especially for organizations that are doing a lot of mileage capture. But as we look at trend number 3, the focus on leveraging GPS to not only capture where a user is to record information like per diems for meals and lodging, but to also to use that data to enhance time clocks. The days of time clocks are almost obsolete. Today, geofencing and mobile devices has given organizations the ability to reduce hardware costs. This happens by leveraging tablets and handheld mobile devices to capture where a user punches, what time they punch out, and to have all those controls in place by the organizations, all while leveraging the individual user's device. This technology is very interesting as you watch the way it's impacting the way organizations capture time and leverage time clocks out in the field. On to trend number 4, which is a single global solution. Again, most organizations that are doing their work globally have some type of time and expense offering. But what we see with those offerings is that they're often very fragmented. Obviously, organizations that do business globally have different requirements when it comes to taxes, currencies, languages, and other items that may impact the way they do business, and especially where their users may either travel or perform this work. But there is no longer the need to use multiple systems to account for all of this, and then try to integrate all this data together. So for many organizations today, the big focus is on finding a single solution across the entire enterprise, regardless of the ERP system that may be utilized for time and expense capture. Now, moving on to trend number 5, we're going to focus on leave management. And again, this is going to be a little more specific to one technology out there, which is the time management functionality. For those in HR and payroll, integrating the leave process with timesheets and time tracking is often a key pain point. When we meet with organizations about our solutions, one of the first things we talk about when discussing timesheets is how organizations can integrate their leave process. Very few organizations have done a good job of integrating time and leave management. Most companies still rely on paper or some type of Excel process for leave tracking. And when an employee needs to get approvals for leave requests, they may be sending emails to the organization, often using the existing technologies in place, whether that be the email process or the rest. The challenge for that is that there's no good audit trails and no good workflows. A good leave solution today should allow a user to instantly see their leave balances and what those future leave balances should look like. They shouldn't have to wait for their pay stubs. And they should also, again, be able to see real time how those future projections take place. If a user is going to be taking off some days around a holiday, let's say a few months out, they should be able to very quickly see exactly what the impact would be on their leave, even as they project in the future some days it may be taking off and how that may impact what their leave they may have in the near term. The first few trends we've talked about have really talked about new technology and leveraging technology better. As we look at trend number 6, what we're focusing on here is expanding your existing ecosystem. When we talk to organizations about integrating data, there's always a question of where you pass data to and from. And when we first start talking about integration, organizations are primarily focused on the accounting, the payroll solution, and maybe the HR system, depending upon where information resides as it relates to employee records and other information out there. The trend we see today, and what we're going to talk about here with trend number 6, is expanding data to include additional resources. This could include a CRM tool like a Salesforce, or getting data directly from your travel providers to enhance your expense reporting process. And even if we talk about the expense reporting process, this doesn't relate just to travel, but may also include vendors where you may be making P-card transactions from, let's say, for example, a Home Depot or a Target or some other vendor that may not be travel specific out there. And as we start to wrap up this presentation today, we're going to talk about trend number 7. Similar to integration, what we're looking at is a process that organizations typically have in place: reporting and analytics. Organizations are starting to demand the ability to automate the data and have that data pushed out to users. We often hear about AI or artificial intelligence, and this is a subset of that. It's the ability to get actionable data in real time when you want it. The big focus is on making sure that the data is being sent to the appropriate individuals at the appropriate time so they don't have to go and fetch it manually, taking too much out of their day. If you aren't using this technology, you sure wish you will once you see it in action. So to summarize our 7 trends here in 7 minutes, technology continues to improve the time and expense management process for all parts of your organization. Whether you're looking to streamline the user entry, enhance your administrative capabilities, or simply provide better analytics to management, you should always examine your existing process. The new technologies available will help you streamline and reduce the amount of time, administration, and user spend on these day-to-day activities. Thank you very much for giving us a few minutes to talk about some of these new trends in time and expense. And if you'd like to learn more about data basics and how we're addressing these trends with our world-class time and expense solution, please schedule a time with one of our representatives. Thank you.